Live tonight from the Texas Motor Speedway. LSR TV is happy to say, as always, good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to our continuing coverage of the eSpeed Contender Series Bomb Track Fabrication Playoffs, where tonight from the Lone Star State, we go racing for this evening SheilaLeeBrown.com 200 and enter the middle race on the round of 8. And as we are every single Wednesday evening, so happy that you're with us on your home for sim racing and the iRacing Esports Network. Evan Pasoko, Rachel Whiteford, Gary Weaver upstairs with you, Hugo Louise bringing us to you. And Rachel, we come out of last week's race from Watkins Glen International. A dominant performance by Malik Ray has him punching his ticket already into the championship 4. Well, for the 7 remaining drivers, not quite that simple. Still tonight and next week at Phoenix to determine most of their fate.
Absolutely, and of course, Matt Kingsbury, expect him to push hard tonight. He was beaten out just narrowly last week, so this time, I think he's got something to prove. He wants to get himself that spot, and I think he'll be trying everything he can. Last week, an oddball, a road course. This time, this is something we know. This is one of the cookie cutters. This is a mile and a half. This one's going to be furious.
Everybody's going to have speed here. The question is, who's going to be that little bit better? And you see with a look at the bomb track fabrication, a playoff grade, Malik Ray in. Very tight, obviously, Gary, around that cut line. Torrey out by 2. Marshall Berry in by 2. Those are the 2 on the cut line. And listen, if you're Kingsbury and Holder, you're not even that safe. 3rd and 2nd in the points, only single digits up. I think Paul Bliss has the chance to come from behind, but I am going to be concerned if I am Brad Neer or Sean Powell. 18 and 30 points back. If you don't turn it around fast tonight and give yourself a shot going into Phoenix, you're going to be in a position where you must win if you have any hope of moving on.
I think at this point they are pretty much already in a must-win situation, unfortunately, and I'm just going to take a double check, and yeah, 30 points. If you're Sean Powell, like you mentioned, 30 points out, I mean, he's already in a must-win situation, so hopefully he can turn that around pretty much this week or pretty much next week as well if he doesn't somehow make it in this week.
John Powell had been very good. He won the round of 16. He won the round of 12. But just a quick glance at the starting grid, it looks like he may miss his 2nd straight race at a round of 8. Which would certainly be a big hit for him. Brad Neer, who lost a ton of points with a bad result. Watkins Glen 18 down. He is scheduled to make a start here tonight from Texas. That being said, practice is drawn to a close. Let's go trackside and take a look at your LSR TV starting grid for round number 33. Pole position on this one goes to the Toyota Matt Kingsbury. As always, qualifying takes place the Monday of each week. He will bring us to the green flag with what was the 4th best time in practice earlier today. Doug Lemons in the number 70 car will start on the outside of the front row in 2nd. Back on road 2, 3rd starting spot tonight belongs to Brent Keith. He'll be joined by Perry Snelson, who rolls off from 4th position, and behind them it is the 56 of Kerry Allen Stewart through your top 5.
Brandon Holder comes in 6th place tonight with James Torrey in 7th, Sean M. Ryan in the 8th spot, and then we've got Brad Patterson and Doc Stout on row number 5.
Gregory Thompson starts in 11th in the number 88. Paul Bliss starts 12th in the number 85. Brad Neer starts in the 13th place position. 14th is Tim Marlowe on the 28th, who is outside, and rounding out the top 15 is the forward of Timmy Logwood Jr.
Logwood's going to be joined by James Hickson at the outside of row 8 and P16. Bobby Everhart, Everett Lade back on row 9. And then on row 10, 19th, and 20th, that'll be the 05 of Marshall Berry and the 7 of Keith Stewart. Final card who actually put out a time this evening. Ryan Lang starts 21st. John Virgo would start 22nd position, but he has just reconnected to the iRacing service. Not sure if he is going to be able to make it to the grid in time as the field rolls. Looks like he will be starting from the pit lane. Rachel, we talk about this Texas Motor Speedway, the Great American Speedway, 1.5 miles in length. And a lot of banking, 20 degrees down into 1 and 2, 24 at this end of the racetrack that we head to now in 3 and 4. But it is a very fast racetrack, which will make for an exciting 133 laps tonight.
Absolutely will, of course, and wow, this could be a very, very interesting race. Of course, turn 2 gets pretty loose for these guys, so that'll be one to watch out for. Probably our big trouble spot tonight, so let's go racing.
200 more miles due up as we get closer and closer to the end of 2018. And as always, we dangle a ticket to Homestead in front of us this evening. Matt Kingsbury going to be in control of the field. He takes the green flag. We're racing from Texas. 3 races to go on 2018.
Great start by that number 21 of Matt Kingsbury, and just in front, Doug Lemons, or sorry, just for second place, Doug Lemons gets in front of the 32 of Brent Keith. And right now, Brendan Holder dives down to the inside, trying to get around the 6 of Perry Snelson already on the start.
Yeah, Holder's trying to do anything he can. Look to the outside in 2. Now he's on the inside in turn 3. That is Perry Snelson, who outside is going to lose out in that battle. So Kingsbury does lead lap 1 from pole. Lemon second, Keith in third. And in the first change for position, Brandon Holder, who gains 2 spots. In fact, on that opening lap, it was not a good jump for Kerry Allen Stewart in the 56 machine. That truck has tonight's title sponsor, SheilaLeeBrown.com, on board as he falls back into the number 7 position. But all 21 cars who started this in it, and we are 3 wide in the center of the quarter now as the 62 Doc Stout gets up and out of the groove.
Yeah, we had the 9 car there of Brad Neer and the 88 machine there, Gregory Thompson, who were fighting pretty hard earlier on. And well, that 3 wide just happened there as 62 got way up the track and stayed well out of the way of that action. But a bit of action up ahead of them as well now, as we've got the likes of Alan Stewart and we've got Sean M. Ryan here. Big nest of cars just inside your top 10.
Certainly early in this race, going to be your best opportunity to make and gain a lot of spots. Up front, Brent Keith from third slides back on the outside of the racetrack. Holder gets by Snelson and Sean Ryans, and that's going to be 3 spots the wrong way for Brent Keith, and he is not done there because Kerry Allen Stewart's going to get one of those spots back that he had lost on the opening lap. He'll slot up, take another spot away. The 2-car Authority thought about it, doesn't dare though, Gary, and they took back in line for the moment.
Yeah, he tried to get down to the inside, and now he will. No, that's actually the 9 of Brett Patterson, who turns with 42. They're both going to go into the infield, and 42's going to save it down to the apron. At least no caution. But unfortunately, Brad Neer's pretty much done, I believe, not sure.
Yeah, those 2 cars went off into the grass, and the concern was going to be, Rachel, to come back up and onto the track. That nearly happened with Brad Patterson. He did a very good job of steering that truck back down. He got into the inside wall. So did Brad Neer. Neer's contact was harder, and he also came through the pit lane, so he's got a lot of towing and a couple of bit of penalties to sit down on the pit lane for.
Yeah, absolutely. I think at one point Brad Neer actually did come back up, but it was sideways and facing the infield, so he didn't cause a caution there, but it was very nearly disastrous if he'd have come any further up the track there. Up front, this is definitely some breakaway for Kingsbury, Lemons, and Holder. Those guys really pushing hard here. Holder's getting to the spot. He's up now, and he's looking like he's going to make a move on Doug Lemons fairly soon. Looking to be one of the cars to watch. In fact, he has made that move already. He's now up to 2nd from 6th on the grid.
So he is certainly on the charge early in this one. We talked about him when we discussed the championship picture. He comes into this 2nd in the points, +6. That is safer than many. Of course, not a comfortable spot. Still needs a good run tonight, and he's looking for one early as he's trying to go to the inside of Kingsbury, but the car gets a little bit loose. Not sure if he got down onto the apron there. A lot of drivers get awfully cozy with that transition to the flat, and when you're talking about 24 degrees to nothing, certainly upset these trucks. And Brandon Holder, who looked like he was going to get the race lead, and one fellow swoop up front now drops back a little bit. It has to deal with Doug Lemons all over the back bumper and fight for 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, he got a little bit of that apron just the last time around in this corner. Now he stays above that white line just to make sure that he doesn't loosen up the car again, and unfortunately get himself caught even more on Doug Lemons' momentum. At least the momentum that he had, although for position number 8 to the inside is Paul Bliss of the number 2 of James Torrey as they head down into turns 1 and 2, and Torrey tries to fight back on that middle side to the best of his abilities, and even off the corner off turn number 2 down the back straightaway.
And the back straightaway, these cars head now back off into 3 and 4. This is the end of the racetrack that has a little bit more banking than the end down at 1 and 2. And you'll see right now the field slowly starting to spread out. And we talked about the fact that it is an intermediate racetrack, Rachel. So everybody has more of a shot, maybe more so than a place like a Watkins Glen. There are still going to be better trucks, no doubt, but the intervals per car certainly going to be a lot less. And well, one thing when you're talking about a fast track like this, race leaders at 183 miles an hour at time into the corner, is that you will get these groups of cars drafted off one another. Holders there. To the inside he goes. Here it is. Battle for the race lead at lap 11.
Getting the car inside there, getting underneath Kingsbury, and he's going to make that pass there in turn number 1. Looks like the 70 Lemons is going to come with him as well. And this is one of those tricky spots. You get held high in 1 and 2, you lose a lot of ground. Whilst this is a mile and a half and what we call a cookie cutter, this is very unlike a lot of them because this has got some unique aspects to it. A lot of them, they're similar on both ends. They're almost identical. Texas is very different on each end. Turn 3 and 4 is actually shallower than 1 and 2. 1 and 2, steeper, you take a different line. 3 and 4, you're on the bottom groove a lot more for that one, so it definitely makes things a bit more difficult.
And certainly you have to negotiate these quarters differently because in turn 2, you're coming off of a much maybe sharper exit is the way to say it with the back straightaway there, whereas when you come off into the front straightaway, you do have that quad oval, so it is a little bit more of a relaxed exit. You can try to get back into the gas a tad bit sooner. But of course, you over-push that boundary. Texas has been known as a place that'll draw a couple of trucks into the outside wall. So early in this, with only 1 truck off of the lead lap, that is Brad Neer. We talked about that car getting into an incident. His night is done. That truck has gone behind the wall, Gary. So he came into tonight negative 18 points, and he really needed something good. If he is not on the fringe headed to Phoenix, he will finish dead last tonight from Texas, and will certainly head into ISM next week, needing a win if he wants to move on.
And next week is going to be quite interesting, as again, it's not really as Rich put a cookie cutter mile and a half oval essentially, but does have that very large open back straightaway, so that's going to be something to look forward to, or open dog leg I should say. But right now for second place, Doug Lemons is all over that back bumper of that number 21 Matt Kingsbury, and while it loses a little bit of momentum in the entry to turn 3, he's still right there.
He's still right there in a very good position. That's all you have to do. Be persistent about it. Continue to try to make these moves. And of course, we watch the battles up front, but battles going on all the way through the racetrack. Marshall Berry, the 05 machine, your biggest mover thus far, started 19th position. He's up to 10th. So for somebody who comes into tonight only 2 above the cut line, he is making some critical moves early. Although to be fair, he is 4.6 seconds off the race lead. Going to be difficult for him to make any more moves because Paul Bliss in 8th, only 2 spots in front of him. That is over a 2-second gap. So that's obviously a big jump when it goes to the speed of the top 8, 9th out of back. There is certainly a discrepancy there, but it is still your top 3 all running together. And the Lemon's going to go to the inside of Kingsbury. It's now the fight for second. Holder took the race lead away from him, and Lemons wants to take away second, and he's got it in turn 3.
Yeah, nicely made there. I think Kingsbury burned his tyres a little early in this one. He is definitely dropping back now compared to some of these other guys who have slightly better trucks in a slightly later stage of this run. One thing that's going to be critical here, of course, is, yeah, people can be big movers. There's a lot of gaps now, but there will be cautions tonight. That's a guarantee. Texas off turn 2 is almost a guaranteed injury spot once these tyres get older. Once these trucks get really tight, and that is a guarantee at the end of a long green run, once they're tight, we'll have some serious problems with guys oversteering coming through over that hump, and the back ends will get loose. They'll go to the inside barrier. There's no runoff there. They'll bounce straight back onto the track.
Yeah, so everybody going to get right back up top. And of course, over to caution a flag. There it is. First one on the night. And it is Everett F. Lane, front straightaway. He spins off into the grass, and that'll be the first one. And well, we were just talking about drivers trying to get back into the gas a little bit early at a turn 4. You'll see on the LSR TVM's oil replay here, the 24 machine looks like he was reacting, Gary. The 4 car of Timmy Longwood got onto the apron, checked up, and Everett F. Lane goes up to avoid him. Problem is, well, turning right and then left again on quarter exit when you're going to barely make the quarter to begin with. Doesn't normally work out, and Everett gets into the outside wall, bounces down. He's turned by Keith Stewart, and it's the first wreck of the afternoon.
That's really unfortunate. And definitely is accurate that the for Timmy Longwood, he did look a little bit slow in the corner, so unfortunately Everett Lane just still running with bad luck pretty much ever since he got eliminated from the playoffs since, I believe, Richmond.
Yes, it's certainly rough go for the last couple of times out. It'll slow things down for your race leaders. Small sample size, but it does give us kind of an idea. Some of the fast trucks to look for. Certainly somebody like a Paul Bliss, who went 12th to 7th, will enjoy an opportunity to get a regroup, try to get some more spots. The aforementioned Marshall Berry, who was up 9 and 10th. But you got to get through the pit stops. And I know you're not really going to win or lose this race now, Rachel. Only 19 laps into 133 this evening. But we have seen many times this year some of these moves on pit road be critical late in the race, so these drivers need to get in and get used to executing them cleanly. First struck in is Holder.
Yeah, absolutely, and this will be critical for them. Like you mentioned, these guys need to make sure this is nice, slick course service. Unfortunately, the 21 at Kingsbury got really tight into his box. He's nosed in there, so you'll have to kind of spin the tires to get out there smoothly. Should be a far easier exit for some of these other trucks here. Some taking maybe 2 tires because we've got a jumper.
Yeah, way off and through, you see the Kingsbury machine still right there, so all your race leaders pretty tight with one another. It looks like as the pace car sits lonely on the back straightaway, the prevailing call is going to be for the right to the left, 4 tires Holder. Kingsbury gets a spot away from Lemon, so Doug falls to 3rd. Ryan's still 4th, and Perry Snelson still in P5. Looks like Paul Bliss, just talking about one of the drivers who made up a ton of spots. Paul Bliss loses a ton of spots in that exchange. Struggled getting into the pit stall, and that looks like it is going to cost him an insane amount of pit stops. Looks like nearly 6 positions he loses.
Yeah, it's not that much, but it can definitely affect you pretty much during, pretty much after the pit stops. I mean, as I believe even I've mentioned before, pit stops are usually the race within the race, and well, if you're in the not in the green flag run, if you're under caution, then that just creates a more stressful situation for you, since you have everybody around you and you have to get to your own pit stall. Of course, you're going to have at least one chance that you'll mess it up. So hopefully he can easily recover from this and get back up to the front.
And as everybody paces around, we look for the lights to go out on top of the pace car this time by, so this race can get back underway. Good as time as any to give a call to our friend Zoil, or over at AmSoil, for being a part of this series. AmSoil specializes in developing synthetic lubricants that offer innovative answers to the greatest challenges vehicles and equipment present. The extraordinary performance of AmSoil synthetic lubricants in a range of markets, automotive, power sports, industrial racing, and more, has made our influence in the industry unmistakable and our brand highly respected. Our commitment to innovation has resulted in legions of brand loyal customers. You can find your local retailer online at amsoil.com. Lights still on top of the pace car. Who this will help out, Rachel? The cars who have had maybe a subpar start's the way to put it. Obviously, Everett Lane and Keith Stewart, who are involved in that accident. Both of them with damage and are trying to get those machines fixed. But also don't forget about Brad Patterson. That 42 truck had gotten into the inside wall on that early non-caution with he and Brad Neer. He's just now once again coming off the pit road, so he's continuing to try to get that car fixed.
Said he is. He'll do what he can here to try and make that happen, but this is going to be a lot more race, and this won't be the last caution, so there's plenty of time to make that happen. It's a very aero-sensitive track, so any sort of collisions really impact you super hard at this sort of place. Let's get ready to go racing.
Yeah, that was not really the case that we were talking about with Watkins Glen a week ago. It's certainly not going to be the case we're talking about when we head to ISM in a week's time for the final race on this round of 8. Certainly here at a place like Texas, where it is high speeds and a lot of pressure. Certainly those trucks need to stay clean. You don't normally get away with damage, as we've mentioned, when you're going over 180 miles an hour. So we'll see how all of that plays out for some of the back trucks, but up front, no change. Brandon Holder, who took over the race lead 11 laps into the open run, he's going to be in control of the field. Matt Kingsbury outside of the front row in second. It is Lemons, Ryan, and Snelson to round out your top 5 for the first restart of the evening. Still 111 laps to go at a board, but a 5 gets a good job back underway from Texas, and it looks like it is going to be Kingsbury safely defending P2. Fights on for 3rd. Lemon should have to get up to the gears in the inside.
Great jump by that number 5 Brendan Holder, and side by side for looks to be position number 8 is going to be, actually no, 7, sorry, it's going to be Marshall Berry trying to fight on that outside is Kerry Allen Stewart on the inside, and Marshall Berry trying to somehow take advantage of that middle to high lane and Well, he's trying to do whatever he can, but that top lane isn't really worn in yet, and unfortunately the 56 is going to get by for the time being.
Yes, and he'll get by. Nice, quick, easy move for Kerry Allen Stewart. So Barry loses out in that fight. But, I mean, through the pit stops, and of course we mentioned the poor pit stop for Paul Bliss, Marshall Berry actually gained a couple of spots. He came up pit road 10th. Right now, having been passed by Stewart, runs in 8th. And as he goes back down to the inside of the 56, he'll take that spot right back. So in the last 5 laps with the pit stops, and down 2 laps off for the restart, Barry's +3, 7th place, the highest he's been tonight.
Definitely a different start to the first start of this race. Look at our top group, 6 trucks running together here. All the way back to Brent Keith there in 6th place. First drop off was really to Berry, but they're still kind of with them here. So a bigger group at the front here is definitely going to change how fast this pack moves away from your field. With 6 trucks together, there's a big speed advantage for them.
A big speed advantage, and that's kind of, I mean, they're not necessarily working together, but with mutual interests in mind, you're going to tuck up behind the truck in front of you and draft all of that speed off. And see if the top 3 here can break away just a little bit. There is a couple of truck lengths between Lemons in 3rd, Sean Ryan in 4th, and if that's able to happen, it would once again be a top 3 breakaway. That's what we saw last time. So the job of Sean Ryan here to keep that gap as close as possible, not let them get away. Really 7 trucks all lined up if you want to toss Marshall Berry in here as well. Critical for that 7th place truck of Berry here to maintain contact with those trucks in front, Gary, because as I mentioned earlier, once he got up to 10th, that was it. The next closest truck was 2 seconds in front. You kind of can only do so much at that point. If you don't let the cars get away, build a big gap, you're in a very good position.
Yeah, it's great to build up a gap that you have and just create a little bit of space, a little bit of a buffer just in case in the event you do mess up or take the corner just a little bit wrong. And in some cases, I could say from racing here at this track, as everyone is approximately still single file, but Marshall Berry has come to the 32, taking the top side, but nothing as of yet. But from here, I can definitely say I've gotten into the gas a little bit too soon many times at this track and ended up hitting the wall off of turn number 2 or having to let up and let somebody by on the inside. So everyone doing it very great so far, but when these tires get worn in, that's going to be when everyone's going to have to adapt and try and do the best they can to keep that momentum that they had when they've had these fresh tires.
Yeah, fresh tires aren't going to last forever, and when you talk about obviously trying to get those new tires to get a lot out of it, they're going to be very zippy around this racetrack on these short runs, obviously, especially because, and it feels like a week-by-week basis, we're going to talk about this here on Wednesday nights. And just look at the racetrack conditions. You can very clearly see there's no sun beating down on Texas. It's overcast conditions in the sim. Track temperature is only 4 above the real temperature at 69 degrees Fahrenheit, so cool adds speed, and Texas already has a lot to begin with, so certainly I would expect a fast pace to this race.
Yeah, certainly, and the truck's looking very quick out there tonight, and that's just going to show exactly what we expected. Big about the draft, and these guys are all using it, and the trucks you see that are single file, they're dropping off fairly quickly. Likes of Everett Lane, Keith Stewart, Brad Patterson as well, James Hickson, these guys who are just dropping off the back of these cars. They're suddenly on their own and they're falling back so rapidly compared to the guys in the draft. We look at someone like Hickson, that's 30.3. We look at some of the back runners who just got a draft. It's a whole second faster.
I'm not surprised. There are certainly a lot of competitive trucks in this, no doubt. We've had a ton of fun through the first 7 weeks of this playoff, but at this point, when you talk about drivers who are going to be funny for a championship and can be considered championship caliber, they are at their absolute best. 33 weeks into this 2018 season. Even Brandon Holder, who, I mean, is kind of no control of his own, giving Doug Lemons about as much help as 7 he can get because Lemons had been drafted off him for so long. The 5 car with none of that help out in front of him has pulled away half a second. One of the bigger gaps between 1 and 2 we've seen early in this race.
This is great for Brendan Holder. He came into this race 6 points above the cut line, so he's doing fine, 5 positions up, and that's not including the bonus points, roughly about 11 points. So he is definitely A-OK for the time being, but right now, something else that I've noticed is that Marshall Berry, there he's in the 6th place position. He just got by Brent Keith on the top side, so he is the driver with the most positions gained, 13 positions up, and he was just barely on the edge of the cut line, just 2 points above it. Now he's roughly 15 above that, so he's giving himself a great buffer, and he's showing that momentum that he had just a few weeks ago when he won at Kansas.
And certainly we look back at some of the other notable race wins over the course of the season. You mentioned, Marshall Berry's victory a couple of weeks back from Kansas. Of course, Malik Ray just a week ago from Watkins Glen. That has him off and into the next round. And so confident so that just kind of taking a double take. Malik Ray not even in the race tonight because he's good to go. We'll see him at Homestead. So doesn't need to tear up another virtual truck, I guess. He's not even in this one. That's what the importance that this kind of a playoff format puts on getting those W's.
Yeah, it really is. And the playoffs are huge for these guys. Every race is a math exercise for them. They're making sure they know exactly what they have to do, what positions they have to be in relative to other drivers in their locations. And that's super tough, they're having to do so many calculations and race at the same time. We've got a couple of good pairs running here right now. We've got Marshall Berry, Brent Keith, and Perry Snelton and Matt Kingsbury just up ahead of them. Kingsbury really dropping back 4th place. That truck just hasn't got the same speed.
Yeah, there's certainly, and listen, we haven't seen that long of a run tonight. Obviously, the first yellow came at about 19 or so laps into this race. So not even to that length on the second run. You're really going to see on the long runs here at Texas when you get to 40, 50 laps to the point where, then we'll start changing the conversation towards green flag pit stops. That's when you're going to see the speed. And it's not that, with a road course more so where it's a different with consistency and drivers not making mistakes. That was pretty much our top talking point last Friday. Instead, here at Texas, it's about tire conservation. You have to be fast while also not eating up the tires. And the math doesn't make sense, when you talk about you have to go fast, but you have to not eat away at the tires, and somehow, these seasoned veterans are able to adjust that line accordingly. And I think Texas allows these drivers an extra opportunity here to do just that with a different banking and, of course, the high speeds that you're running at. You'll see drivers moving up and down the track, taking a line that helps them out.
And Marshall Berry's trying to do that, but he's got the 32 of Brent Keith pretty much all over his back bumper. So that momentum that the 05 had is, for the last time around at least, I slipped away. But my goodness, Brent Keith has massively fell off the pace, and that gap of the back bumper fell off that back of the tailgate from the 05. So not really sure what happened. May have gotten loose or maybe just called a little bit too much speed and had to let up. But right now, the 05 has got that top 5 in sights, and of course, he's got that 21 right ahead of him, who is in 5th for the time being. The question is, I'm just wondering if Marshall Berry can somehow catch up to him.
Yeah, and now you get to the point where, 2.5 seconds off, it is going to be difficult to rake in a bulk of positions gained. But if you're, Marshall Berry, you can either pass Matt Kingsbury, get up to P5, Perry Snelson also at 4th, or you can get passed by Brent Keith. You kind of have to work in your group. You're 3-4 trucks around you. You may see that as kind of being trapped, but you can finish at the back of that 4-truck pack, or you can finish at the lead of that 4-truck pack. And depending on where you are, dictates where you line up for the next restart. If we have any more over the course of this race, which still has 97 laps to go, and then next thing you know, you become the bottom truck in a pack further ahead, and that's kind of how you pick yourself up and away through the field. The race leader working around some lap traffic. Brad Patterson has just lost the lead lap for the first time tonight. Again, he did a fantastic job of kind of sacrificing that truck, steered it into the inside wall, so he didn't come back up and into traffic early in this race. And certainly the left-hand damage in that truck is hindering him well off the pace. P19.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to be something that will haunt him all race. You can't quite get the damage repaired here, and Kingsbury losing possibly another spot here as Berry looking like he's definitely going to make a move on this one. Got the 6 of Snelton up top, and Kingsbury goes high. Snelton goes low, gets a nose underneath him, and once again, Kingsbury going backwards. WD's truck's been great for qualifying and great for a green track, but as the temperature and rubber builds up, Kingsbury's track is not even holding. Like the first run, it was fast initially, went off with the run, whereas here it seems as though it's just not been as good from the start.
Yeah, no, it has certainly been not as good, and listen, he's still in a good position to P5. I think a lot of that might come down to the fact that when you start on pole, you got clean air, but we get a pair of battles going on here, and we're going to squeeze him 3 wide with a lap truck topside as Marshall Berry dives low, tries to get around Kingsbury. Snelson a little bit slower and in front of them. He's going to back up into this fight, and it may just pinch the 05 down with nowhere to go. He'll have to back out. Now Kingsbury to the upper hand in that battle, and they just save him as they'll come side by side down to the back straightaway.
I think I just saw Marshall Berry, that 05, completely just gain a lot of speed in the middle of turns 1 and 2, and Kingsbury finally manages to slot himself back in front of that 05. But I saw when the 05 was on the bottom side, I saw his momentum very visibly, and especially since the 21 was a little bit slower when he took the top side. That is the most exciting thing that I've seen, or the most interesting thing that I've seen from these trucks. Is very amazing to see them very visible with their speed differences, as right now the 21 with Kingsbury, he wants to get by Perry Snelson, but of course it's not almost the right time to do it, at least on the back straightaway. But the 05 is all over that back bump of the 21. Snelson goes way high up the racetrack and will be falling back a few positions.
Yeah, Snelson had an opportunity when they went side by side to get up and out of here, and instead, a couple of missed quarters, and Matt Kingsbury takes the spot away. So Kingsbury going to go into 4th spot. Snelson still has not conceded to Marshall Berry, and in fact, a good run that time at corner number 2 will keep him in front as they run at the moment. So Snelson stays P5, Berry 6, Keith in 7th. So I'm telling you, that's far from over, though.
Exactly, and that's the sort of kind of real bumper position we're looking at for these guys. These P10 to P7 sort of range. This is the guys who are coming forward, so you might be a real threat towards the end of this race as they're getting up from bad qualifyings, moving into a good threatening position once we get another restart, which is likely to happen. This run going almost as long, of course, as the first one. But we're going to see those tyres play a factor yet again. Of course, we've got really about 18, 19 laps before we had that first caution. We're basically at the same point now, so tyres could play a factor. We're talking about cautions right there as we get a really great attempt to move there by the 85 of Bliss, but doesn't quite get it to stick.
No, that's the key. It's all about committing. You go down into the corner, you hope you make it happen, and this may actually work out very well for Kingsbury and Snelson. Out of the speed of the 21 machine, kind of opposite of what we saw in the opener run, where he was able to be very fast to lead for the opening 10 before he lost the lead lap to Holder. This time around, Kingsbury sputtered a little bit out of the gate, but he is pulling away now, leaving Snelson well behind, to the point where if Berry and Keith were able to quit funning with one another and deal with the P5 truck in front of them, Kingsbury is going to be well off and away. He is gone. The last time by, Matt Kingsbury was the fastest truck at a racetrack by 2/10 more than the race leader, Brandon Holder.
Yeah, but the actual fastest last time around was by 4,000ths of a second was Doug London. So I was going to say earlier that I thought that the 21 had more of a setup geared towards a short-run vehicle, but maybe it's just a long-run vehicle, but it just doesn't do well in the beginning of the short runs, which of course does happen. It does take a while for the tires to wear in and the setup to actually start to take effect after the tires have worn themselves in. And 30 laps on these tires, almost 31 laps right now for the time being, so it's very interesting to see. Now last time around, Kingsbury was fast as 29.9. My goodness, yeah, definitely the fastest. And I think his tires have finally started to kick in now and decided to work.
And maybe it is kind of a different mindset for Matt, running to mid-pack, try to conserve and aim for the long run, or it's something as simple as he just needed to get clear of traffic. You're stuck behind people. We talk about the advantages of the draft range, so one might think, okay, well, if you're drafted off of somebody, you're going to be significantly faster. That truck in front of you punches a hole in the air. You don't have as much resistance, and you go faster. The problem is that works on straight lines. You get to the corner, you don't really want to be tucked up on the back of somebody, because that same lack of air on the front of the truck that allows you to go a little bit quicker takes the downforce off for the front of that truck, makes it harder to turn. So I think for Kingsbury, the key here may have just been finding a pocket of clean air to work with.
That'll be it, and maybe he's just now finding a spot that is right for his truck and that can make it turn, because he had a truck that was great in clean air, but it's been terrible since he's been passed. So maybe that is exactly it.
Well, it's certainly helping him out. He is closing it very quickly. Brandon Holder is putting a beating down on Orion and Lemons. The gap between first and then the truck's second and third is over 2 seconds. Matt Kingsbury shortly, who has pulled a second away from Snelson behind him, is going to be up here and fighting for those final couple of spots on the podium any minute now. And it looks like once he gets there, it's going to be hard to stop. The 70 Lemons loses a little bit of grip off the quarter, and this is going to be about an easy pass as you will see for Matt Kingsbury inside. No doubt about it.
Great job by Matt Kingsbury to take advantage of that situation as quickly as possible. So now Sean Ryan's got to start worrying about that. But this gap, though, from Brandon Holder, he's pretty much, well, in a way, he's fine. He's got about 2.3 second gap to Sean Ryan, but that's about to quickly close once Matt Kingsbury gets by, who just left the 70 in the dust for the time being. My goodness, and I'm seeing a lot of position changes back on JRT, and we have a little bit of a very 2x2 battle here. James Torrey leading this right now. He's in position number 9, and my goodness, he finally just got around the 56 of Kerry Allen Stewart, and right now it's just in a 3-car battle for pretty much 10th, sorry.
In 10th, 11th position is a big group of trucks, but a battle for second on and over nice and quick. Matt Kingsbury takes it away from Sean Ryan. I would not at all bet against the fact that he could probably make this a battle for the race lead. Before we get to green flag pit stops, working 55 of 133 laps for the Lone Star State. Now along this green flag stretch we've seen thus far, with Kingsbury back at a second. You can monitor the intervals first and second at the top of the screen as that pack around P10 is kind of broken up a little bit the last 2 times around.
Yeah, it really has, and that was one of our critical points we looked at, but we have got, of course, 7th through 6th, 5th, 4th at the moment, who are fairly close together, 2x2 here actually, as wow, that's a massive loss of speed by the 70 car. Doug Lemons just went on the anchors there. I'm not sure what happened to him, but he just absolutely stood on the brakes. As past him, of course, goes the 05 of Berry, looking strong as well from Berry's Nelson.
Yes, Snelson, somebody else who thought maybe was going to be getting a little bit better shake out of all of this. And on the inside, an early dive down, Doug Lemons pits lap 57, just a little bit over 30 laps since they were last time down on pit road. And Lemons is going to be in from the top 10.
And 38 laps on his tires as of right now, so definitely understandable. And that could be why he braked a little bit, just to get down to the inside. Into his pit box he goes. And perfect stop in the box by that number 70. So right now, again, Kingsbury is starting to get back up to the front. The gap is a little bit larger, just by about a 10th, about 2.4 seconds from what I'm seeing. So right now, it's still just a little bit trying to maintain the gap between himself and Sean Ryan. More than likely, Marshall Berry finally made his way around into the 4th place position. So everyone very spread out for the time being.
And that's what you expect, and certainly it's only going to get more spread out if other drivers follow suit and start to head down to the pit lane. Nothing from race leader Holder, Kingsbury, Ryan, Berry, Keith, everybody top 5 still running exactly where they have been. So maybe it is a different move. Lemons has kind of been out of the range to make some of those earlier pit stops, mix up the strategy. And at a place like Texas, where a lot of your decisions to come down to the pit lane are obviously based on tire wear, you know, for somebody like a Matt Kingsbury in the number 21 machine, who his last lap was a 30.2, and compare that to his best lap of a 28.6, you're talking about almost 2 seconds of tire fall off nearly at this point. You can pit for the tires. If you really want them, you can stretch them. Fuel's not normally the deciding factor in you know, how many stops are made for these kind of calls.
It's not, no, and that will be something that's going to be entirely on the tires for these guys. And we'll be going maybe 35 laps or so, probably, for the tires. Maybe 40 if they're really pushing this thing, but I think it's going to always be a tire-limited race in NASCAR of any category these days, especially in the iRacing service. It's all of the tires.
We wait and see just how long that difference is going to be. Doug Lemons, who has pitted, is a lap down in 17th position. Of course, he's probably the fastest truck at a racetrack right now, but going to take some time working his way through. The concern here is, and maybe, you know, if this turns out to be way early, is Brandon Holder in the number 6 machine, or the 5, sorry, is coming down. And the race leader is going to pit, so it's not the first hypothetical I was thinking of. I'll go right to the second one. The short pit tends to be the better call. People are on old tires. You want to get on the fresh tires sooner to make up a lot of time. The concern is you're a lap down for the entirety of the pit cycle. So that is the risk you take. But Brandon Holder, your race leader, says it's time. And that would probably suggest we'll see pit road begin a lot more busy now, as I'm seeing a lot more trucks in.
Yeah, Kingsbury pitted just a lap before the leaders, and he overshot his pit box, unfortunately, just ever so slightly, and in a diagonal fashion as well. So that definitely messed up his pit road exit ever so slightly, as Perry Snelson comes from second to head to pit road. So hopefully that's the only mistake that the 21 will make. He's in 12th for the time being. So unfortunately, though, his time on pit road 37.3 seconds versus trying to see the 5 Brandon Holder 36.8 seconds. So pretty much a second difference from total pit lane time.
Yeah, so that's very good. Certainly when you compare to one another, there's a lot of time being made to maximize in and out. Not only, of course, your actual lap time, but the drive down to the pit lane speed here at the Texas Motor Speedway is only 50 miles an hour. And Brent Keith, right now your race leader, is drivers continue to cycle on through. Looks like it's Perry Snelson in number 6 truck also just exiting pit road. So it pretty much all happens now. So we kind of have to think ahead, Rachel. What is this going to mean for the grand scheme of things? Close to 40 laps on this run. Well, you look up just about halfway home in this race, working lap 66 of 133. I would expect one more stop probably out of the group if it stays green, make it a 2-stopper.
Absolutely. I think 2 is possibly plausible. It's going to be very interesting to see how they decide to play that one, though, considering what they've got, but it's likely to maybe be 2. I don't want to really edge my bets right now, but with the number of laps remaining, 2 would seem... I think that's fair. 2 would be fair, including the next one.
We'll see if that is going to play into effect, or if somebody dares trying to scratch a little bit deeper into this run, go to maybe lap 80 or so, which at this point is only 13 laps away. And then if you decide to have that longer run both times through, next thing you know, you do have a chance at obviously making it to the end of a different strategy. One less pit stop, you're saving nearly a lap of time, but of course you're going to be a lot slower. Battle right now is for the number 6 position, and it is going to be a critical battle when this race cycles back up through, because it is Holder and Kingsbury 1 and 2 before the pit stops, battling 6th and 7th now. But a 5 truck too good, and he will get by Kingsbury, pull a little bit, but Kingsbury is certainly no longer 2 seconds behind. We'll see how close he can stick with him here.
Yeah, Kingsbury pitted again just 1 lap before, so he's got 1 lap fresher tires. It doesn't seem like much, but with the momentum that he's got and getting a little bit held up by a lot of traffic, he decided to back himself off just coming on through turns 1 and 2 the last time around. So he should be hopefully getting around the 5. No, he backs himself off again. I think this is the same thing that the 21 did earlier in the first run of the race, second rather, pretty much after the first caution. Is that he backed himself off and let everyone in front of him use up their tires. So I think that's what he's letting Brandon Holder do. Letting Holder use up his tires, and then Kingsbury can come in at a later time and then just strike when Holder doesn't really want him to.
Maybe that is the decision. You know what? I could fight him right now, but he has the tad a bit fresher tires in this exchange. I will conserve it to be better. I was better on the long run at the end of the last time through, so just take it easy. But certainly he doesn't want to see, like Holder is doing a little bit now, that truck pull away and try to build back up to, again, what was a 2.5-second advantage by the time pit stops came through. Still waiting on this cycle to complete. We may have some drivers either just really trying to make it a yellow, or maybe trying to go for a 1-stopper. Doc Stout, James Torrey, the drivers who have still yet to come down pit road and are running right now 1-2, 17 seconds ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, they're really pulling this one out of the bag right now, and that's exactly what they wanted to do with this event, but they've got lap traffic ahead of them, so that's going to maybe slow them down. They have to come down at some point soon, though. They are going to be running on very, very old tires, and once they cycle back, the guys who are coming behind them really aren't too far away. They will get them caught up, and they'll lose a lot of ground.
And, I mean, look, it's already down to 15 seconds. I mean, Holder's hauling the mail right now. 29-1 for him, a 30.7 for Tori. Stout a little bit better, so maybe the 62 machine can stretch this out a little bit longer, but you know, the concern obviously here is by the time somebody catches it, that's pretty much the time to throw in the towel. But 40 or actually more than 40, 45, so 50 laps off of the most recent group down to the pit lane, and with just 61 laps to go in this race, would not shock me at all if this is going to be a pit stop at 5 to 10 laps for these two drivers, and they try to kind of pull a fast one on everybody, go for the pit call.
That's a great strategy point as well, but unfortunately on the long runs, at least during the green flag runs, it doesn't really help out. But for James Torrey, went to double check again, he's 2 points below the cut line, at least heading into this race. He's 5 positions, he's gained 5 positions actually, so theoretically he's roughly about 3 points ahead, and into pit row comes Doc Stout. So Doc Stout will decide to throw in the towel early on, as you said, and he didn't even get called up to, so 11 seconds now separates Brandon Holder from James Torrey for right now at least. So will Torrey come in this time? I expect him to, but Sprague will stretch it out at least as long as he can.
Yeah, so Stout's in, so the 62 machine has pitted, but we'll see if Torrey does the same. I still think if you, yeah, there you go. So he'll respond. So both those trucks that come in, lap number 74, that's 59 laps to be able to go. It'll be an awfully long way. But when we compare that to the run that they just did, I don't think it's impossible.
Not impossible, just a little implausible actually at this stage. I think it's going to be stretching things somewhat for them, but this one's running clean and green right now, so maybe one stop under green is perfect. If we get a caution, it's not going to be enough for the tyres.
Yeah, I mean, and it takes a lot of time too. You know, you got to go for the 4-tire call. You're going to have to get back up to speed. The one thing that I did find interesting about this is Doc Stout started 10th. James Torrey is now leaving pit road, started 7th. That's not normally what you see when somebody goes to make the call, unless, of course, they're very confident in it. A lot of time when drivers make moves like this, especially drivers who have those powder blue numbers for being in the Palm Track Fabrication playoffs like we have with James Torrey, top 10 trucks normally don't go way off and make a strategy call like this, where if it doesn't work, you're going to go from a top 10 truck probably, you know, into the teens. So it is a big gamble. We'll see if it pays off. James Torrey came into this only 2 points below the cut line. If it works, you'll look like a genius, I'll say that much.
Yeah, if that does work, that's going to be absolutely incredible. And the person with the freshest tires I see is James Torrey, who I believe actually just a few laps ago, or just recently actually, he did get passed by the leader Brandon Holder. So Doc Stout fell flying by, or soon to be flying by on the outside, run by James Hickson, and well, of course, Doc Stout on fresher tires, so it could work for the time being, so long as he doesn't really push anything too hard. But if he tries to conserve his tires at the same time as getting by Brandon Holder, which he plans to do right now, he's only 1 lap down, though, unlap himself manually. This could work out, but that's just if this goes green for some time. Right now, I'm pretty sure Brandon Holder, he moved down to the inside for a bit, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't expecting the 62 to pass on the inside there, but luckily everyone made it out. I didn't.
Yeah, flying through comes Doc Stout, and about rounds out the side of the pit stops, and we have crossed the halfway point in tonight's SheilaLeeBrown.com 200. So let's take this opportunity to look top to bottom at our iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game with professionally organized racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, and many more. As we complete lap number 78, Brandon Holder is your race leader. He leads by 2.2 seconds over Matt Kingsbury. That's about the same the gap was before pit stops, although this time it is trending in Holder's favor. 4.3 seconds back is Sean Ryan. He runs in third, the best he's been this evening. Same with Marshall Berry, who after starting 19th is your LSR TV hard charger, up 15 positions to be scored in fourth right now. Barry Snelson's just behind him in fifth spot. Paul Bliss scored a P6. Brent Keith is seventh. Jimmy Longwood, another driver, picking up a ton. He scored a P8 right now. Doug Lemon slides down, and well, in fact, he's already right back down and onto the pit lane, so he pitted way early. He'll go for another pit stop. Lemons will fall out of P9, but for the moment he was there with Gregory Thompson rounding out your top 10.
certainly is, and at the moment these guys are really pushing this one this time. P11, of course, you've got Carrie-Anne Stewart, Doc Stout, Delamans actually just dropped down there. He's on pit road now.
And so he'll drop right back down, and your scoring's all going to update through. So Lemons is obviously going for either a very long run to the end or a 3 stopper. So to put Gregory Thompson up to 9th, Carrie-Anne Stewart is going to be 10th. So then therefore 11th now, Doc Stout. James Torrey scored 12th. He's the last car on the lead lap. Tim Marlowe's the lap down in 13th. Bobby Everhart 14th. Ryan Lang, and then Doug Lemons a lap down 16th. The 70 is going to continue to fall, though, as he's still there for service. Hickson 17th, Everett Lane at 18th position. Brad Patterson is 19th. Keith Stewart is on to pit road in 20th spot. And Brad Neer, as we mentioned, a playoff driver. His night is done. He runs 21st out of the 21 trucks who started this race. That is a look top to bottom at your iRacing Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, you visit iRacing.com to sign up today. A little bit of a buffer till we see more pit stops, so we'll take a quick opportunity to step aside. Less than halfway to go from Texas Motor Speedway. You're watching the eSpeed Contender Series at LSR TV at the iRacing Esports Network. As we prepare to crown the 2018 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion, and we're so happy that you're along for the ride with us this evening for the 18th and final race this season. We welcome you into the Race Spot TV booth. Myself, Evan Pasoka, Randy Cheneth with you for the call tonight. Our director, Hugo Louise, is downstairs. Race Spot TV at the iRacing Esports Network. One race to crown a champion. Let's go racing from Homestead. Green flag in the air to turn number 1. Nick Ottinger, your pole sitter, brings us up to the gears for the first time. We are going to go 3 wide for the lead at Homestead, just 9 laps in. Lewison wants to make the inside work, and Schoenberg way overdrove quarter 3. He'll throw this one away. Brad Davies with a big run.
Fortunately loose, Mr. Taylor Hurst. Michael Guest just coming up the racetrack. They both go for the same bit of real estate at the same time. The 05 and Nick Ottinger, bit of an in and set up the dream situation. Michael picks up the spot, and that puts championship contenders running 1, 2, 3, 4 as they come to start lap 107.
The battle for the top 4 is the battle for this 2018 championship.
Able to fight Ray here as they go down the front straightaway, but if you're racing the 34, they get the wall that goes side by side in a 1.
It was the slightest bit of contact, but it breathes new life to Ray Alfala. Look how hard they drive it into the corner as Alfala pushes Luza up the hill.
Back straightaway. Do either of them off the pit road? Yes, he does. Ray Alfala makes the call a few laps after Busa.
And he went right side by side with Luza into the corner. And look at how Fowler digs sideways as he tries to get all the time he can. All kinds of out of shape as Ray Alfala drives it hard to pit road.
There is $10,000 on the line, 2 laps to go, and $10,000, 2/10 of a second separating it.
1 lap to determine the championship as Ryan Luza still needs a car length and a half, just 1 into the final time. The 6 drives it in hard. He looks for the bumper of Alfala, but he is not going to get there in time. The 6 can't stay in the gas, and Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series. And back live for the Texas Motor Speedway, lap number 91 in the works for tonight's SheilaBrown.com 200. Part of LSR TV's continuing coverage of the eSpeed Contender Series Bomb Track Fabrication Playoffs. Out of your home for sim racing at the iRacing Esports Network as we await the next wave of pit stops. Good a time as any once again to say thanks to our friends over at Bomb Track Fabrication. Bomb Track Fabrication specializes in building custom race cars and CNC machine chassis components for both racing and industrial sectors. All of their components are made in the USA. For more information on how to get a free shipping and up to 5% off your first order, you can go to bombtrackfabrication.com. Big thanks to them for making a lot of this possible. Happy that you're with us. Evan Pasoko, Rachel Whiteford, Gary Whiteford with Hugo Lee's downstairs, and Brandon Holder, currently your race leader, 3.3 seconds on top of Matt Kingsbury, probably the biggest gap we've seen all night long. And the critical point came last pit stop, Rachel. That was when Holder pitted a little bit before Matt. Matt had closed in a 2-second advantage, but since then it has been completely erased, and then some net gain to the 5 truck.
Yeah, absolutely, and well, they definitely want to change things around at the moment, and looks like things have filtered out the way we expected. A number of laps left. I'm wondering whether they'll go for the stop. It might simply be that one for some of these guys, but the leaders did come very early, so it's going to be interesting to see how these guys play this. I'm surprised it's still in green so long.
Yeah, this is the by far and large the longest green flag run that we've seen. Gary Weaver, it was very early 19-lap caution flag at the start of this race, and since then, green all the way. There's still a question mark of if a couple of drivers, Torrey and Stout, decide to stretch this race out, go to the end from this point, but nearly everybody else, we still expect the pit stop to come, and that'll be pretty shortly here as we close in on lap number 100.
Yeah, and I'm expecting them to at least maybe pit on lap 103, maybe about 104, but that's just a personal expectation, just because it'll be 30 laps to go at that point. So already, at least for Brendan Holder, 32 looking to 33 roughly around that point on his tires. But right now, some other drivers had to pit road. Brendan Holder's one of them, so well, scratch that plan. And Marshall Berry as well, and the 04 of Sean Ryan. Jeez, so much for that plan.
1, 2, 3, all Ryan. In like that. Ryan in the 04 truck, awfully hot into pit road. I don't know if he was able to get it slowed down in time. If he did, it was a masterful pit stop. We'll see if he is going to be able to get out without a penalty. But other than that, your top 3 all pit at once. It is just inside of 40 laps to go. This, for them, certainly will be the last stop.
Yeah, it certainly is, and that's definitely going to play this one in a very interesting direction. So we'll see how those guys pull this one. Holder, he's going to run this to the end, like we mentioned. This would be putting it in the 2-stop bracket from where we saw that. So that's exactly what we actually really can envisage for this race. Holder's looking strong though. That 5 truck has been super powerful on the longer runs, and it's evolving well with the track. So I think he's got something pretty much tied up here. As long as this plays his way, we get a caution, it's out the window.
Yeah, if you get a yellow flag, you could forget about all the strategy and kind of the calculations you would make it. But if I'm Marshall Berry, I like where I am. You had the drivers behind you basically react, come down pit road with you, so I don't think there's going to be much of an opportunity for drivers to make up a ton of time. If you're in the Kingsbury camp, certainly you're looking at a 1-second deficit, so you make up a little bit of time again on pit stops. But for the speed that we've seen out of the 5, Gary, he's going to have to make up, I think, a lot more than that, because not at all would be surprised if Holder starts to pull away again like he did last time.
Now, Holder's had a great run this entire race, essentially, and he's definitely not going to wait as much as he probably wants to. He's definitely not going to give that 21 a chance of waiting whatsoever. And again, just the same thing as before, 1 lap fresher tires, as Matt Kingsbury, I believe, had actually pit 1 lap beforehand. So it's the same thing as we had on the first set of green flag pit stops, and right now it's only James Torrey and Kerry Allen Stewart that have yet to at the pit road. Just double checking on their position on the racetrack, but nonetheless, that 5 is pretty much doing the best I can. But if I was a 21 in Kingsbury, I'd be pushing as much as I can right now.
Yeah, this is the time to go. You've got him relatively close. It's time to make something happen. If there's going to be a battle for the race win tonight, it has to come to this. And Kingsbury apparently listed it in with you. Gary agrees because he's closed the gap down again. We've seen him do this a couple of times right now. Pit stops and somebody's blowing up Doc Stout into the inside wall. The 62 truck spins after something happened to him. I saw a lot of smoke, and it almost looked like the truck blew the engine. Not sure what the issue with the 62 was, but he will spin. Somehow we get away without a yellow. That could have been devastating, and that takes one of the main actors out of that whole pit question of if they were going to be able to stretch this out. Almost all of the trucks on a two-stop call have pitted, and James Story now finds himself leading this race, assuming that he tries to go to the end without a pit stop.
I can explain what happened there, Evan, actually, with Doc Stout. He comes into one, and the truck is just a little bit loose on the old tires that he's currently on. And the back end just comes out, and he saves it, gets on the apron though, and the apron straightens him, and he gets onto the apron, but he's carrying too much speed on the very flat ground while still trying to turn. And it caused him to spin out a second time, which really ends his race there as he slams into the barriers twice, actually, which is impressive, front and back.
Yeah, no, certainly there's a lot to keep an eye on, but I think our race focus has become a lot more centralized now, because even if Tory goes to the end of this race, I'm not going to win it. I mean, I'm always for drivers trying to mix up the strategy, and listen, there's a reason we're up here talking about like we know what we're doing, as opposed to actually being in the car or being on the pit box or a spotter for some of these guys, the people who help them make these decisions. But I mean, even if James Tory goes the next 31 laps on fuel, Matt Kingsbury is only 2.7 seconds off, and Brandon Holder's even closer. That gap is down to 2.1. We're going to see a pass for the race lead in the next lap or two. So now Tory is concerned, don't fall lower than 7th, because that's where you started. You fall lower than 7th, it looks bad. A yellow would really help him, but he's got about 20 seconds for that to bail him out.
Yeah, James Tory, well, never mind. He's going to hit the pit road, so much for that plan happened. So, unfortunately, I think he just decided to call it early and not really risk getting the 5 or the 21 or pretty much anybody else, let himself involved in any on-track incident. So he'll respectfully concede to that first place position with about 29 laps on his tires. But right now, I think the 88 Gregory Thompson has just a little bit fresher tires than 21 of Marshall Berry. Double-checking those numbers right now. They're about the same number of laps, just again, 1 lap difference about on that fresher tires from Gregory Thompson, but he's back in the 12th place position. A good number of laps down, double checking 1 lap down actually. So as much as Thompson more than likely wants to unlap himself, he's better off backing off and just letting that 21 to see if he can run down that 5 Brandon Holder. But if lap times last time around say anything, well, 0.4 of a second slower is the 21. So at this rate, for the time being, not so much. No chance for the 21 as of right now, at least.
Yeah, and again, this race could still have another chapter to come, but it looks difficult. An uphill battle, certainly, for Kingsbury. Kerry Allen Stewart, 3rd. Sean Ryan, 4th. Marshall Berry, top 5. James Tory, I think, either realizing that the fuel wasn't going to make it at all, or the race leader breathing down his neck, knowing he was only going to be going the wrong direction, he pits. So now the decision is, Rachel, would it have been better to just stay out there and try to not lose spots for 30 laps, or pit, go a lap down to 13th now, and then try to pass trucks for the next 30 laps? There's no way to know how many he would have lost if he had stayed out there. There's no physical way we can tell, but the question is, what's he going to be able to make up from this point? Because he's awfully behind getting back to those trucks in the lead lap.
Oh yeah, and he really is quite a way behind at this point, but it is potentially something he could do. He might be able to gain a couple of spots, but it's only going to be within the back end of the top 10. And if he does that, I'll be impressed.
And we'll watch the intervals. He's got Snelson, Thompson, and Lang to get up and around, and that'll actually shuffle up a little bit as he gains some of those positions back. So he is 13th right now. If he wants to get it back onto the lead lap, he would have to repass your race leaders. Brandon Holder's going off into turn 3. Tory is right now headed out of turn 2. That's a long way to just get it back to the lead lap, let alone worried about Bobby Everhart, who's 3/4 of the track ahead of him. So again, James Tory, the reason we keep such a big eye on this is because he's one of your championship drivers. Came into this 2 points below the cut line. Paul Bliss, who's having a fantastic night right now in the 85. Bliss entered tonight 7 points below the cut line, runs in 6th spot right now. Brad Neer, who was 18 out, is out of this race, finishing dead last, 21st. Sean Powell not making the start, so a mixed bag of results. Paul Bliss, though, may have an opportunity to make some noise this evening. It does not help him, though, that Marshall Berry, 4th in the points, 5th on the racetrack right now. Matt Kingsbury, who was 3rd in the points, 2nd on the racetrack right now. Holder could be the big question mark in all of this. He's leading this race. He goes for the win, and obviously that would be an automatic bye into the championship 4. So an active situation right now, looking like Bliss may make a play for the final spot going into Phoenix. Well, 3 drivers may be way out of it.
And it's going to be it's pretty much, it wasn't stress-worthy enough as it is. Well, it's very stress-worthy right now, and trying to get by Marshall Berry, not for position, though, is going to be James Torrey, and well, unfortunately, he is stuck 1 lap down. The 4th driver 1 lap down from what I'm seeing at the moment, unfortunately, for Torrey. So he's got a lot of work to do, but he can hopefully get himself at least back up to the 1st lap down position, or lucky dog, rather. But right now, again, Brandon Holder is doing an absolutely amazing job for the time being. He's, even though he did come in 6 points above the cut line, he's still trying to make a statement saying, hey, I beat the 21 to Matt Kingsbury on the longer run somehow, and that's just mainly through pit strategy, no less, as he's got the 6 of Paris Nelson, not for position, though, passing him on the inside. Marshall Berry, I believe, is, well, Marshall Berry, just position-wise, has completely locked himself in, at least for next week, so that's going to be it's going to be a great time for the 05 to see the point standings after this race.
Yeah, Berry should be good, Kingsbury should be good, and Holder. So all the drivers who entered tonight in the top 4, obviously Malik Rarity advanced. If Holder holds on to this, he'll advance also. Everybody that was above the cut line is running right now in the top 5 of the racetrack. So that makes it very difficult for other drivers to make anything up. And even for Paul Bliss, who's in position number 5, he's at a spot where he'll make up a little bit, but he is probably still going to be below the cut line, maybe 4 or 5 points, which is certainly something that can happen at Phoenix, no doubt. The other drivers, certainly Neer and Powell, but Torrey, who's a little bit further down the running order in 11th, they are going to have to hope for race-winning runs, I think, if this running order holds, as we head to ISM Raceway next Wednesday to close out the round of 8. But here tonight from Texas, now inside of 20 laps to go. No more pit stops needed for the 8 trucks, or rather anybody else who still runs in this race. But the 8 trucks on the lead lap, the main focus as this one looks to close out. Question is, Rachel, does something else happen, or is this one going to conclude like it at least appears to right now?
Well, it's going to be a very tough one to really call, but with the gaps we're looking at right now, I don't think it's entirely possible that Kingsbury will catch Holder. I say that, we'll get a caution, of course. We've got about just under 20 laps to go here. Gap's 2.5 seconds. Kingsbury's last lap of 30.095. Holder, a 29.982. So Holder's going just faster. Kingsbury has no gain. That is a big problem for him. The gap behind him is faster. Sean Ryan is about 0.2 to 0.3 faster than Kingsbury, but not less time by. Actually, Kingsbury equalized that lap, and Holder, again, just a little bit faster still than Kingsbury, so no real change in the top 3 is my prediction.
We'll see if that holds. Certainly, I think at the point right now, I don't think Matt Kingsbury is going to find speed. Listen, we've seen these drivers go green. If this race ends under green flag conditions, it'll be an over 100-lap green flag run to the end. If you haven't had the speed yet, I just don't see it happening. And again, Matt had to dig out of a hole. He was about 5th or 6th on that restart. Got up to 2nd position and has been pretty evenly 2 to 3 seconds off of the top spot. He's pretty dead even with Holder. The problem is the gap. He hasn't been able to close that gap in because they've been so even over the course of a long run. And the last few laps, Holder starting to put it to it. Now, if a yellow comes out, you start alongside him, who knows what happens? But Brandon Holder right now has run the better race by a very small margin. Again, not to take anything away from Kingsbury, but Holder's gotten him that little bit every single time, and something that I'm sure the 5 truck likes is, I mean, there is nobody in front of him for about a half a straightaway. He will have some lap trucks to deal with. It would be Carry-On Stewart, and then Timmy Longwood Jr. They are a good amount up the road, and I don't think he has any reason to rush getting by them as he continues to add time on his advantage.
Yeah, for the time being, he's pretty much secure right now. I mean, Matt Kingsbury is still dealing with lap traffic, unfortunately. Just got by 24th Everett Lane, but right now he's got the 6 of Perry Snelson in between him and the leader of Brendan Holder, and that's just including an additional about 3.14 seconds around there, about 3-second gap, and roughly gaining about equal lap times the last time around at the start-finish line. So Brendan Holder may have this in the back for the time being. He just has to complete about 13 and a half more laps, and just doesn't have to make any mistakes.
And looking right now, 7 trucks at a lead lap. I'm not sure Longwood's going to be able to hold on to that because Holder is coming quickly. 13 laps to go from Texas Motor Speedway. Good a time as any to remind you that that point of no return comes at 4 laps to go or less. And it always seems to happen that in these long green flag races is when it comes into effect the most. If this race has 4 laps to go or less and a caution flag comes out, this race will not restart. It'll end under caution flag conditions. And as long as the wreck isn't a Brandon Holder, he'll pace to the race win up until we get to lap 129. This race still has a chance of hitting the reset button. And I know it's not something that Brandon Holder wants to think of, and everybody else is crossing their fingers and hoping for a stroke of luck, because I think that's what everybody else needs at this point.
It really is, and I think the caution at this point would change the entire dynamic and almost kind of nullify what Holder's done today. He's had a fantastic run of this race. He's performed incredibly well. The gap is still pulling out. We said we wouldn't see big gaps at this race, but look at this. 7 cars on the lead, trucks on the lead lap. We've got a 3-second gap first to second, 4 back to third, another 4 back to fourth, 4, and then 2 cars, trucks together, Bliss and Keith, of course. They could change positions, and then it's a whole 10 back to Logwood Jr. So staying so green. The pit cycle's been a massive contingent to this, Evan. Honestly, pit road is free time. You maximize your ability to get on and off pit road as fast as possible under green. You practice those stops, you get that time down. That's free on track space that somebody else may not take advantage of.
It's almost like a free throw. That's an opportunity to gain something. You can take it or you can lose it. And there's some drivers who you just get through it. The concern is not making a mistake, and certainly making a mistake on a pit road will cost you a lot more time than I think you can make up. It's that risk versus reward balance. You walk the line. How hard are you willing to push it? How much is that extra tenth or two going to be worth by the time this race comes to its conclusion? But certainly in a race like this, where we've seen great long green flag action, a little bit of pit strategy drama sprinkled in there, through 2 green flag pit stops at that, Gary. That little bit of time here, a little bit of time there certainly is added up.
Yeah, it's great, again, just great job. And Brandon Holder is still doing the same thing, just being smooth and patient as of right now. He just wants to get to the end more than likely. And I think Kingsbury knows that at this point. He can't really do anything to really reel in that number 5 machine. And just that little bit of a high exit off the corner while it stalled out. He did gain 1/10 though. 1/10 of a second was gained, and that's more than likely because he's got that 6 truck of Perry Snelson in front of him, helping him out with that draft. But for the time being, though, again, it's just smooth and very careful around this raceway for that number 5, just so he has to make sure that he doesn't really do anything too major, or especially get way too much on that apron, because those left side tires can be very dangerous. We saw a little bit earlier, not sure, unfortunately, with who, but somebody got way out of shape, but they did manage to save it.
And a lot of close calls for some drivers like that. We have seen maybe 2 or 3 incidents over the course of this race that were more or less wrecks. Sometimes it meant trucks actually going all the way off it into the inside of all. Other times it was just somebody getting out of shape down into 3 and 4, diving into the apron for sanctuary. But in most of those occasions, the yellow flag hasn't come out. Only one of them from obviously earlier on in this one. And then the race has shifted focus from drivers trying to gain spots to get good opportunities on race starts to drivers trying to take it easy, conserve these tires, even with this two-stop call, which is certainly a lot less zealous than the one-stop that we thought we were going to see out of the likes of Tori, who, by the way, is still running in 10th position and a lap down. So it has not worked out very well for him, as he is still well behind the 7th place position, which he started in. But that's certainly still a lot of time on the tires, and it's going to be a critical lap for Holder this next time around. He will take 4 laps left to go in this race. Now it's in his own hands with a 2.7 second gap. Rachel almost looking like he's backing off a little bit, not to make a mistake. He'll work that gap.
Yeah, he said he will, and he's doing what he can to try and make something happen with that. I'm just not sure it's right now going to be something he could achieve with the time remaining.
That time is certainly not a lot. With looks like 18 trucks still actively on the racetrack in this one. And for Brandon Holder, somebody who has not won in a handful of weeks. Last time we saw him get the W at Talladega Super Speedway. Well, you always know, Gary, the conversation about running at a plate track is anybody can do it. But, you know, the truth is, a lot of drivers didn't get a lot of points out of that when he used that win in Talladega, middle of the round of 12, to get to this point. And he is now 3 laps away from another win, this time in the middle of the round of 8. Would be the biggest of the season for him as he looks to punch his to the homestead if he can hang on. Kingsbury gains another 2/10, but still not threatening.
Yeah, it's not going to be enough, unfortunately, even though he just finally managed to get by that 6. But this time around, 2 laps to go. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Kingsbury could just call it done, just right around to the finish. He's lost 2/10 essentially, just through the entry of turns 3 and 4. I'm just watching the timing right now, about 2.5 seconds. So he can do all that he wants and the best I can, but I don't think there's going to be enough time for Kingsbury to catch up to the number 5 of Holder.
We'll see if anything changes, but certainly it doesn't look like it is. Brandon Holder's going to come this time by. Popsicle sticks in the air, 2 laps to go, and now he looks for the white flag for the Texas Motor Speedway. Kingsbury got to push. There's no reason not to. You never know what happens in front of you. The 21 works around another piece of lap traffic, but I mean, Sean Ryan is not going to catch him from 3rd. There may be a fight for P5 still inbound. Bliss and Keith are not that far apart, and an exchange that is 14 seconds off of the race lead, but all eyes are out in front. Malik Ray won just a week ago from Watkins Glen International to punch his ticket into the championship 4. And now with 1 race to go after tonight on this round, we are going to know a second name of a driver that'll fight for this 2018 championship. Final time at 4. Brandon Holder wins from Texas and is going to the title race.
Phenomenal race from him tonight. A consistent, measured performance. 2nd place for Matt Kingsbury, of course, and Sean Ryan in 3rd. Great drives from those guys. Kingsbury's strokes didn't quite have what it took there to bring it to Holder, but wow, consistent to the surprisingly green race for Texas with none of the Rex attitude that I predicted. Kind of feel cheated by that.
Well, yeah, I guess the only place we're going to have fire and flames tonight is down at Victory Lane and not on the racetrack, because it was pretty clean. Brandon Holder, I'm sure he's not going to be complaining. There's a lot of races like this where drivers have a lot of speed, circumstances take it away. Tonight, not one of them. Best trucks headed to Victory Lane.
Great job by Brandon Holder. He's going to wait to burn it down. And there he goes. Amazing job. So he joins Malik Ray now for Homestead, Miami. And next week it's going to be one of the most interesting weeks. Instead of 4 positions, there's Marshall Berry. Oh, a little bit of contact, but Berry pretty much locked himself in for this week on points. So next week is going to be interesting, as we're going to have 6 people rather, battling for 2 positions on the racetrack. And well, Sean Powell doesn't show up, then it's going to be very unfortunate. But of course, things sometimes come up. We definitely hope that Sean Powell can come up and show up next week at Phoenix and try and race for that championship.
Big late race change in all of this is that Berry does end up finishing 4th. So Paul Bliss, who was 6th at a points, it looks like with James Torrey coming up in 9th position, will still be behind him. So it'll probably be still Torrey 5, still Bliss 6. And then, of course, Nearand and Powell probably going to need race wins. But let's take a look top to bottom at your entire LSR TV full race results tonight from the Lone Star State. Holder, your race winner, Matt Kingsbury in second and Sean Ryan third. We will be trackside with all of them in just a moment. Marshall Berry fourth position as it noted, and Paul Bliss rounds out your top five. Brent Keith and Timmy Longwood Jr. last trucks to finish on the lead lap in sixth and seventh. Marius Nelson just misses out on all of that fun. He'll end up eighth tonight. James Torrey's run back up front on the pit strategy call comes short. He may lose a lot of critical championship points tonight with the ninth place result. Gregory Thompson just behind him. He'll round out your top 10.
P11 tonight. Last of the guys 1 lap down. Carrie Allen Stewart there, 12th place. 2 laps down Bobby Everhart with James Hickson behind him. Is 3 laps down. So is Ryan Lang in 14th with Everett F. Lane. And then it's Doc Stout and Brad Peterson are 4 laps down. We have our non-finishers tonight. In 18th place, Tim Marlowe, Doug Lemons, Kid Stewart, Brad Neer, and John Verga in 22nd.
Look top to bottom at your LSR TV full race results. We head down to No Limits, Texas, Victory Lane. Brandon Holder is your race winner tonight from the Texas Motor Speedway, and he is going to be headed to the Homestead finale. Brandon, congratulations on the win. Tonight was one of those nights that just kind of looked like one of those races where you have to fight through, you get up front, you show off the speed, you don't make the mistakes, and then a yellow messes it all up. We've seen those races. Not the case, though. Long to the end, and you guys are able to hold on. Second win on the playoffs. Congrats.
Thanks, Evan, man. I really appreciate that, man. What an awesome truck. That thing was good the whole run. I think Kingsbury had just a touch more speed on the long run, but we could get out ahead far enough that I think we had a comfortable lead there.
Talking about the battle with Matt, certainly you two were pretty even. You started behind him, made a charge up through the field, though, got that pass out of the way early on, and it seemed like on those pit stops he was able to close it in. First green flag pit stop got to in front of you until you were able to pass him back. That last one he got to within half a second, but every single time, I mean, it wasn't really a case of, you just being better on the short run or the long run. It's once you got going, there was that little bit extra in your wheelhouse that helped you out.
Yeah, like I said, that's probably one of the best setups that I've driven in the Contender Series. It was just, Sean and Timmy, hats off to them guys, man. They slaved away and came up with that set, and it's really good. Give me something at Homestead like that, we may have a shot.
So with the trip to Victory Lane this evening, you were going to join Malik at Homestead, Miami to fight for a championship on 2018. What does that mean to you?
Oh, it's a great deal. I know that the team has had the speed all year. We put together a real good team. I'm real proud of them, and of course, the alliance with Intensity Motorsports has helped. I seen Brad had some bad luck. Hated to see that, but man, it's really good, and I'm hoping that we can get Marshall and Brad into the chase there, or into Homestead.
You have not finished any lower than the top 4 in any round of the playoffs this season, and that'll continue with the guaranteed trip to Homestead. Still one more race to go, though. Malik Ray didn't even show up tonight, so what's the plan for you guys next week at Phoenix? Do you think you could be of help to teammates there, or is that just kind of, try to work with the team between now and then to support them?
That's the goal. I mean, like I said, I think Marshall's in pretty good shape. We want to make sure he gets in and try to get Brad Neer a win. Get 3 trucks against Malik and have a shot at it.
We'll let you get out of here. I know you had to work hard for this one without any breaks, but Brandon, before we let you chat, anybody else you want to say hi to down here from Victory Lane?
Yeah, I got to thank Steve Brothers Trucking for the support and all the help that he's done. Got to thank pitboxes.com, Sim Racing Apps, and LSR TV for the broadcast.
Perfect. Well, hey, Brandon, we appreciate you letting us pick your brain a little bit here post-race. Again, congratulations. Happy to see what that 5 truck can do in Homestead. Maybe we'll see you next week as well, but worst case scenario, we'll catch you down in South Florida.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
He was the best tonight for the Great American Speedway. Brandon Holder, a race win, 2 on the playoffs, and for the second straight round, a win will move him into the next step. This time it heads to the Championship 4. He's your race winner in the SheilaLeeBrown.com 200. Matt Kingsbury was the other driver in the conversation. Another P2, going to be a lot of points, but not guaranteed as he heads to Phoenix next week. He is trackside right now with Rachel.
He absolutely is. And, well, Matt Kingsbury came home today in second place. Matt, this is the second time in 2 weeks I've gotten to talk to you in second place. The truck looked fast in the very first run, but what happened?
Truck was good. Jack didn't, I don't know if it was the rubber, the temperature that got put into it as we were racing, but the truck was just plowing 1 and 2, and I couldn't do anything about it, it seemed like.
Unfortunately, these things will happen sometimes with tracks, but second place, a phenomenal result, even with a ploughing truck, to be fair. And you've obviously got some good tracks coming up, and you are in a good position here. Do you think you can do this?
I think so. I think we're pretty much good to go for Homestead. Points-wise, we look, we're locked in. I don't think the other guys had the nights they needed, at least one of them didn't. So I think we're in a good shot for that. And then I think top 10 at Phoenix will put us through, and Honda Homestead, anyone can win that one. That's a track I love. So, and if we get cold weather, I think it's going to throw even more interesting tactical sense into the race.
It certainly should be. Well, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to or say thanks to?
Yeah, I just got to thank my teammates, putting a lot of work into these setups, these last races. And it's been paying off. We've been really good, so got to just thank everyone for all the hard work.
Absolutely. Well, Matt Kingsbury today started out in the first spot, came on today in second. Thank you, Matt.
And I'm here with the third place finisher, the 04, Sean Ryan. Started 8th, finished 3rd. A great job by, I believe actually the entire top 3 was playoff contenders. So again, congratulations. And unfortunately, Sean, you weren't in here for this week, but you still put off an amazing performance. How was the track out there?
Oh, that thing was super fast. That was a great truck. We put a lot of work into it this week, and yeah, it was good on the front, on the back, and it was yeah, we're taking notes.
That is the best thing, especially after this week. Into Phoenix next week. Any plans for? We're just gonna try and run the race to the best of your abilities, and maybe advance your finishing position by about 2 spots.
Yeah, these guys are really fast. I mean, everywhere we go. So if I could advance at 2 spots, I'd be happy. I love Phoenix, but these guys, like I said, are pretty good. Yeah, we're going in there to win it.
Hopefully we see you in victory lane. But of course, before we let you go celebrate your 3rd place finish, anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to or thank for that place here tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Sim Racing Apps, to all of American Motorsports and Intensity Motorsports for helping us out, and all you guys for putting us on.
I definitely thank you for coming out as often as you can and putting on the show for us. Congratulations.
All right, guys, have a good night.
That was Sean Ryan with position number 3, and Evan Pasocco should have Paul Bliss with him for P5.
Yeah, rounded out your top 5 tonight from Texas, the 85 of Paul Bliss. Paul, congrats. I know you guys needed a good result. You came into this one 7 points below the cut line. You net a top 5. I think the problem may be all of the guys you're chasing also got top 5 finishes, but you make it close. You keep it interesting, and most importantly, you're going to be in the conversation next week. But first, tell us about tonight.
Tonight, we had a pretty good truck. Got a little caught out by how tight the track was. We put ourselves in a hole, missing the box in the very first pit stop, and we never really got another pit stop to catch up the track position, and it's so hard to come through traffic that you would just get it in fits and starts. And I mean, like, race-wise, I'm pretty proud with recovering to 5th. But in terms of championship picture, man, everybody I'm racing ran good. So a good effort, but it's not quite enough.
You look at you're chasing down James, and he finishes 4 spots below you. That was a 5-point difference. So you guys going to be pretty tight. But Marshall Berry was in front of you coming into tonight. He finishes in front of you. So does Kingsbury. Holder wins. So it is an uphill battle. But as we head into Phoenix, it's one of the more maybe open-ended racetracks is a way to put it. Crazy stuff can happen there, and maybe because we didn't have any of that happen this evening, it'll kind of boil over and save up for that race. But knowing that you're going to be in a position far better than some of the guys below you, there are drivers that have to win, that's it. You guys don't need to win a race, it would help, but you need to have a good result, and you have to have a couple of things go your way. So what's the outlook looking out to ISM?
I'm really optimistic for Phoenix. I've always really liked that track, and being out in the West, I consider that to be kind of a home track for me. So I feel really positive, but the guys that we're racing are so good. Brandon, Matt, Marshall, Barry, Malik, these guys are all really good, and they're all going to be hard to beat. Like, the only thing that I can do, or that we can do as a team, is just try to control the things that are in front of us. Get the setup good, don't make mistakes, just do the fundamentals. If the luck plays into our favor, then it does. If not, then it wasn't meant to be.
We certainly hope that you guys can have a shot at it, and if it's close coming out at the end, it's good for us because we'll certainly enjoy it, Paul. But you did what you had to tonight. You get a top 5 run out of the 85 Chevy. You make yourself a driver who has a shot at advancing into the championship next week at Phoenix. We'll let you get out of here. I know it was a very long green flag run to the end, but anybody you want to say hi to?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody back at Lowline. Super proud of the effort that they put in to help me to get this thing on track. My teammates Everett Lane and Sean Mulzick, some of the guys back on the team that Kevin Call, James Heater, David Moore, and there are more to mention, but certainly without their help, this top 5 wouldn't be possible. It's a team effort.
We wish you all the best of luck. We will see you next week at Phoenix. But, Paul, we appreciate your time here. And again, congrats on a good result.
Thank you, sir.
That is your 5th place finisher this evening. And it looks like we do have P4 finishers. So real quick, we'll go back down trackside. Rachel is with Marshall Berry at Eagle 5, who comes home at 4th. Another one of our playoff drivers.
Certainly is, and we've got Marshall Berry here. Marshall, tonight was a tough race, of course. The truck was pretty great for you. 19th to 4th overall. Biggest mover in tonight's event. How's it feel?
It feels pretty good. The mission was a top 5 and ended up 4th, so it feels pretty good.
Absolutely, you achieved exactly what you were after. What was the difference with your truck? I mean, you seem to just make your way through traffic so efficiently.
I think just timing, setting up guys the correct way, getting a good run on them into the corner. But, I mean, truck was fantastic. I think the guys, Sean and Tim and Brandon, for all the work they do, and the guys at Intensity for putting together a very fast truck tonight.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to you, and fantastic position there out of this race here at Texas. Anybody like to give a shout out to or thank?
Oh, absolutely. Pitboxes.com, sim racing apps, Century 21. Again, all my teammates, American Motorsports, and guys over at Intensity. We're strong when we need to be.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations today on 4th place from 19th on the track. 4th place finish there for Marshall Berry. Evan?
Yeah, big thanks, Brandon Holder, Matt Kingsbury, Sean Ryan, Marshall Berry, Paul Bliss for giving us some time post-race, and, of course, Marshall Berry, your biggest mover, up 15 spots, and we still think it'll be Malik Ray, Brandon Holder, Matt Kingsbury, Marshall Berry headed into next week, but Kingsbury, Berry, not a lock, and Tori Bliss going to be very close. We don't have the official points yet. You can keep an eye over on the Twitter at LSR TV. What do we know? You will know, but then Brad Nearshaw and Powell are going to need to win. Powell misses his 2nd straight week, and for a race at Texas that, we kind of amp it up, Gary, is, high speeds, high stakes. This one came down to the head game and who was smartest.
Yeah, this was very amazing. Only one caution. Now it's just about 19, 20 laps into the first run that we've had, and Branchy shortest run as well, which is actually absolutely amazing. And I'd be lying if I was saying I wasn't biased for next week's race, because oh man, I just love Phoenix so much sometimes, and that's gonna be very, very amazing to. It's gonna be incredible to see what happens next week. And of course, it's a semifinal race, so it also doubles as one of the most probably one of the most trustworthy and most exciting races to be put on there.
And admittedly, Phoenix can't seem to make up their mind, because we refer to the Phoenix we're going to next week as the new Phoenix compared to the old one with the closed dogleg that's on the service. In the next year, we're probably going to have a new Phoenix. It's not what you're going to see in action this upcoming weekend, but the whole reconfiguration, it is still that wide open dogleg on the backstretch, and it's a racetrack where if you're coming out of a closing lap, you need an extra spot, probably hit somebody a lot easier than you can at Texas, Rachel. So certainly with 4 drivers awfully close on the cut line, a chance that a Neer or a Powell comes up, steals a win, and kicks somebody out. Certainly going to be exciting. You don't want to miss that one next Wednesday night.
Absolutely not. And Phoenix is going to be one of those tracks where some revenge might be taken occasionally. It's a very different racetrack, very flat and very tactical. So we'll see a phenomenal race then.
We hope you join us then. Good news is you don't have to wait until next Wednesday night to catch more live racing action here at LSR TV. iRacing Live, and of course the iRacing Esports Network back on the LSR TV channel tomorrow. That is the Cessra Series, 9 o'clock Eastern start. And you can find a full broadcast schedule at our website, www.livesimracing.com. Find out how to get your league on the air over there as well. But we always recommend engaging with us on the social side of things, facebook.com/LSR TV official. And you can follow us on Twitter at LSR TV for more information. On behalf of our entire team behind the scenes, everybody who makes these things happen on a night in and night out basis, and of course, for your broadcast team tonight, for myself, Evan Pasoko, for Rachel Whiteford, Gary Weaver, and Hugo Louise, we want to thank you for tuning in and to congratulate Brandon Older. He's headed to Homestead. We're not quite there yet. Phoenix is next week. That race comes on Wednesday, November the 14th. From ISM Raceway, that race and every race of the eSpeed Contender Series will be right here on LSR TV and the iRacing Sports Network. Until next time, good night from Texas.